Hello and welcome to KU's top news source for politics, KPC News. I'm James Buckley.
And I'm Hannah Thurman.
Tonight we have updates on the ongoing trade war with China and new revelations on undocumented immigrants. But first, Hannah has a follow-up to Brett Kavanaugh's unprecedented confirmation hearings.
CNN reports that Brett Kavanaugh and his accuser Christine Blasey Ford are expected to testify before a Senate panel on Monday. However, there is speculation whether Ford will show up on that day. Ford has said she thinks that the FBI should investigate the incident before a hearing occurs. President Trump disagrees. Trump said in a press conference Tuesday that he feels terribly for Kavanaugh and his family and that he wants Ford to testify. He said that the FBI doesn't want to be involved and that it is not a case that they would take on usually.
The Trump administration announced on Monday that they will further reduce the amount of refugees let into the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the administration will decrease the refugee cap to 30,000 refugees for the next fiscal year. According to Politico, the refugee cap when Trump first took office was 110,000, which was then lowered to 50,000 and is currently at 45,000. This year, the U.S. has admitted 20,825 refugees so far, with the fiscal year ending September 30th.
A report released on Tuesday by Senate investigators says that there are about 1,500 migrant children still unaccounted for. These children illegally came to the U.S. alone but were placed with sponsors. The unknown whereabouts of these children are raising concern that they have been placed in human trafficking. Republican and Democrat senators have introduced legislation in the aftermath of this discovery that clarifies the Department of Health and Human Services' responsibilities for ensuring the safety of children that cross the border.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort has followed in the steps of Michael Cohen and struck a plea deal with special counsel Robert Mueller. Manafort was supposed to have a criminal trial for multiple financial crimes later this month, but the plea deal has replaced that. According to the New York Post, Mueller is trying to add in clauses to prevent President Trump from pardoning Manafort. However, Manafort is able to seek a pardon, but under the plea deal, he would lose over $10 million worth of property should he choose a presidential pardon.
A U.S. appeals court in St. Louis ruled in favor of a restrictive abortion law. The Independent reports that this law only allows abortion clinics to go through with the surgery if the doctor has admitting privileges at a hospital. This restriction is one of few and could result in a handful of clinics being shut down. This law will be enforced immediately. Planned Parenthood says that the clinics in Missouri could see an impact in the coming weeks. The group also says that it will need to delay expansion into Joplin and Springfield.
Now, the trade war continues with China, and it's escalated even more so after the president announced a new set of tariffs on Monday for $200 billion worth of Chinese goods. The LA Times reported on Tuesday that China will be placing tariffs on $60 billion worth of American goods in response. The trade war has drawn criticism, but LA economist Sung-Hwan Sun says there are legitimate concerns over China's trade practices. However, he suggested in the article that the president should seek help from ally countries to counter China.
A new ruling from the Supreme Court has struck down the use of dark money in campaigns. Dark money is when the source of a political donation isn't known. The Supreme Court on Tuesday called for these donations to be disclosed from now on. The court's decision followed a year-long research report done by a government reform group called Issue 1. The study found that organizations were using this dark money to make new campaign ads that couldn't be traced to the source. The report also said the top 15 politically active nonprofits spent more than $600 million on campaigns between 2010 and 2016. The top 4 nonprofits are the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Crossroads GPS, the Koch networks Americans for Prosperity, and the NRA.
In local news, Kansas State Legislature candidate Adam Thomas has made his first appearance in court after being charged with election perjury. Thomas allegedly turned in fake documents saying that he lived in the 26th district where he is running. According to the KC Star, Thomas will still be on the ballot in November, but his criminal trial is still ongoing. His next hearing is October 25th. Geez, Hannah, politicians in trouble. What's new?
What do we know? Yeah. Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching KPC News, and be sure to tune in next week. Until then, I'm Hannah Thurman.
And I'm James Buckley.
We'll see you next week.